Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we have ourselves an album from an ex named Jah-Femi Telewa, or Jah-Femi's Alternative Hip Hop, that's titled Of Hip Hop Alternative First Chronicle, Thus It Began. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves the album on Spotify here. We'll put the art up on the screen. We're going to be listening through 7 of these tracks today. We're going to listen through them from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Starting with Lookest, let's go.
Yeah, thou lookest like me, though highly unlikely, due to life's uncertainty, making such occurrence be an impossibility. Impossible. Yeah, that's deep. Yeah. Down blasted
The panic is affected.
Loud noise when they enter. Dismantling antenna. Cold shocks hit like winter. Mainframe frozen. Why am I chosen? Some talk they're frozen, while they are dozing. It's a serious case, a murderous phase. They seek to chase, put kids in place. Ground sprout with haze. I cried for days. Please be a phase. I'm puzzled, maze. Shots of a red rum. Shots of the 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 red rum. Hey, minus up in here. All heads talking while their mouths are moving. I will not make that mistake. I will not partake of this tasteless red rum.
Okay, Lookest track number 1. Lookest is an intriguing one. I'm not that sure what it's about. Like, I understand the red rum reference, it being like murder backwards, and the King Midas one, you know. And we got like the kind of religious kind of symbolism or imagery here, like the kind of the prophet kind of aesthetic there. Is it basically saying that even if someone's kind of like trying to be them, they're not going to try and sort of shut them down because it's like beneath them, or they're just not interested in that? They're just going to like either allow it or try not to let it kind of overwhelm them or something like that. A lot of rap and hip hop kind of comes down to like the us versus them mechanic, where we're trying to sort of talk about why we are the chosen one, or why we are sort of like superior and our abilities and everything like that to someone else that we're talking about. So I kind of understand how those parallels are going here. There's an interesting angle to sort of discuss, not wanting to sort of like go down to their level with the red rum stuff. I think the vocal design is interesting. You've got not just the main line in the center, but we go backwards and forwards, and we have like sounds and bits of sort of foley, I suppose, noises and effects on the side there. And they typically relate to what we're discussing. There were like horse noises and stuff like that. It was cool to have the difference between those in contrast, because it kind of says, hey, I could just talk to you, but what if I added more? It was also neat to have a shorter form track at 134, just to kind of have the concept put forward, and then you're just done. A lot of the time, you run the risk with a longer track of maybe over-explaining the point. So to kind of get to that pretty quickly is just effective, and it's respectful of the listener's time, even if it is really, really... I actually did quite like the beat behind it. I thought that the 808s combined with the various ideas that we had on the strings were really fantastic, and it was cool to have so many different rhythms and use of the full range with it as well. It was nice not just sort of stay in the low part. It kind of ascended as we maybe understood more and more about ourselves and the situation in front of us. We were talking about the person looking like us, and in the end we'd made a decision. To be fair, I think the mind is up in here is maybe that we're turning everything to gold, I suppose. I'm not sure if it's going further into the story of that, but I think with the kind of theology we're discussing here, it's cool. So yeah, it's a good start to it. The studio production is also on point, but I assume that'll probably be a continued thing here. It's typically something I enjoy about Jah-Femi's work, is that the production is on point. We'll go track number 2, Quantitative Lingo with Femolala as well.
JFT, Femolala. Two Femis, twice as nice.
Gotta get this off my chest. Boom. Rocked up the battle man, the man with my guns drawn. Facing up to quantities unknown. Dog, I swear somebody sung poems about a young maiden waiting for a soldier to come home. Cold showers at 5 a.m. My efficiency's operating at 99%. I ain't cutting by the size and the strength. I got steel for the mightiest men. Ain't no atheist inside of a trench. All you need to know is the temperature Fahrenheit of the bench. My destiny cannot be postponed. I'm about killing multiple birds when I throw stones. And if you can't see the wood for the trees, then I'm spitting forest fires and you know I'm good for the heat. Dawg, this thing is like dominoes to me. If I knock one, then all of y'all gonna have to take a knee. Most you man can't even comment on my speech. If I get inside the booth and then I vomit on the beat. My whips do tricks, transformers assemble. I can't be trusted with no kitchen utensils. Yeah, dropping challenges one by one as they appear. I think I got the cheat codes, extramarital affair. A tongue can't say as much as the posture will. The body language of a corpse in the hospital. It's paradoxical. It took a path full of obstacles to get me running in my optimal. Non-profits at an all-time high. Productivity off the charts as I rule and I multiply. If numbers what we must go by, then you are not that guy. So watch your
Grace repeaters there.
Not much if the figures any indication. Yeah. What you really saying? Not much the figures any indication.
Okay, so when I send this beat to Fems, yes, his name is Fems too. Anyway, he asked me what the topic should be. I told him, keep it as random as we both are, yeah? Two not as different mothers. Anyway, let's go. Hit it. I don't know why you flexing hard, baby. It's your boy me, aka Femi. It's all gravy. Already told you that this was the last time. Still you being street, causing bear slime. Go ahead, having sex is no crime. But you wrong when you mashing guys in my time. Flex, baby, you are it, and I'm the prime suspect that is playing cats like Mario. They really sad in this scenario. You see me, I'm totally delectable. You chose me, that made me selectable. Yeah, did you feel that, baby? That made me selectable. I don't even know why you're dealing with these other guys. I'm right here in front of you, baby. I'm the one. Patience. Wait a minute. This cat's pusher got to test him to his limits. Got me spinning in circle like it's a gimmick. Knowing I'm hard, confronting me is sinning. Plus I got God, it's obvious I'll be winning. Please, if you still want to carry on with this beef, then you can talk to the hand, cause I ain't listening, bro. What did you think I was saying? Yeah, the two femmes on the track. Brah.
I think the vocal chops from the lady, that the melody there on the tails of it, combined with the strings and the keys, are effervescent. I do like the tone of those. Is there something at the end of this last 10 seconds? Oh, it's just kind of continuing beyond that. That's okay. That was a radio edit. That's cool. I think I heard the boop kind of sound there for the swearing, but that's all right. So, Quantitative Lingo, radio edit. My understanding of this track is it clearly it's a collaboration between Fems or Femalala and Jah-Femi Telewa. And it's great to have different musicians on board in an album to get their perspectives as well. Literally, we address what this sort of like the topic of the track was about. And I think that it's nice to just have them talking about what they want to. It's a groovy enough beat to where you can kind of like listen to the rhythm of the lyrics or the vocals on either side and the coloration of it and how it interacts with a lot of the synth, key, string, piano parts and the bass and drums. Like I think the coloration of it is cool, but if I focus on one of those things, I like the peppiness of the synth line. It makes it seem a lot more fun. It's got this kind of nice sort of sizzle to it and it kind of beat boops around. It's got a great sort of charisma to it. And I think it counters the kind of relaxed, kind of like clean flow of Femo, Lala, and their original verse. They navigate around it really seamlessly, discussing their efficiency as a rapper and sort of dropping challenges and not being able to be around kitchen utensils. A lot of Jah-Femi's later verse is more about sort of trying to understand why the woman they're with is getting with other guys and how it's wrong for them to do it on their time, which makes sense. And it's very much just kind of things I wanted to discuss on the track. That's my interpretation of it. I think having different instruments for each part. So the strings are more pronounced, I think, as Jah-Femi's part. They're like just segments the piece and like an A-B side. So I think that's kind of cool. And for a 3-minute 40 piece, I think having new instruments come in or be more prominent just makes it more interesting for listeners so you don't kind of have too much of the same beat. And in fact, you just have like this kind of longer sounding bass there with a nice sort of like consistent sort of smoothness to it underneath the strings in the upper register, to then have the kind of hip hop kind of trappish drums come in with the cymbals, the claps as well, and some of the build sections, as well as snares and the kicks, which is really cool as well. So it's great to have the different sort of drum beats and types of percussion there. It was nice to segment the track like that into different parts between rappers and also within individual verses. And I think that there's just an overall just like polish to both the recording of the vocals there. Things have been EQ'd and compressed well. There's dynamic range, but not too much. It sounds commercial grade, but also just the way that the different instruments is sort of leveled and positioned within the frequency spectrum as well as the stereo field is really nice. It's nice to know or have a safe ground bed for them to do this stuff on. And then we got track number 3 though, like boom, it's doom.
Yeah, it's hip hop again, bro. I don't even know what's wrong with me, but I keep coming up with these dope beats. Anyway, I'm here to give you what you need. So sit down and don't smoke the I stepped into the room and like boom is doom. Record selector, switch the song way too soon. Somebody lost track of the groom. Bride standing there crying, it was way too soon. Paul panicked and dropped, somebody give us room. She was way too young, surely lost in bloom. No weddings, just funeral this June. The sun is shining, instead it's gloom.
Give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella. Give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella. Give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella. Give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella.
You can feel it in this banging tune. I'm digging so deep for the right fruit to prune. Giving you exactly what you need. Been making hits in my head since a little seed. So get up and push a step or two. Acknowledge my presence so I can see it is in you. A mask or two to hide a few. Give me air, mic, breath and space to continue.
Give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella. Give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella. I can give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella. Give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella.
So what's up, yo? What's the situation? Mad hate, some love spread across the nation. Just tell me exactly what you're facing. Some lost in deep dark places pacing. Hard rhythms that fit the beat. You could choose to run and thus face defeat. What it takes to feel complete. At least you ran, not just to compete. Like that, and that's the way the story goes. Raps are order, just so you can hear some blows. To all foes who do oppose, they do shows, eye up and bleed this to run a bloody nose. Yeah, that most certainly is a rap. You know, we out here doing what we do each day, every day. But it's cool, cause it's for me and you.
I could give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella. I could give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella. I could give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella. I could give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella. I could give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella. I could give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella, give you one line, fella.
Okay, like boom, it's doom. So I think that this track is about someone who is, as a hip hop and rap artist, or just as a musician in general, going into a room and kind of trying to get people to sort of like acknowledge their attention or trying to understand if they sort of see them like that. They spoke about someone dropping in the first verse and there'd be a funeral or something like that, or there being like gloom and doom or something like that. So I'm wondering if they were discussing about someone actually getting hurt or, like someone actually sort of passing away, or if it was metaphorical, I'm not sure. But as we go through it, he's just trying to sort of figure out if you really sort of feeling what he's talking about. That's what it comes down to, like boom and sturm. It's the effect of someone coming into the room and kind of owning it. So there's this kind of lo-fi hip-hop aesthetic there that I enjoy with the low-key nature of the bass tone, the electric bass. The drums have a nice consistency of the pace of them with the 16/8 and stuff like that. It's nice to have the trumpet or the brass in there. I kind of wish it had more body to it. It just seemed a little bit kind of like washed out. But also it still suits the mood and fits it well. That's more of just a sort of a textural kind of preference. And there's like these like wonderful sort of 70s strings on the sides there that kind of flutter in the chorus section. Where they talk about kind of you can give them a line fella or something like that. It's neat. It works, and it's a catchiness to the rhythm of the vocals in that chorus part as well. That's kind of repeated in a way where like it gets stuck in your head and they kind of vocals go do 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 on like the repeat of the loop, and that's cool as well because it's almost saying, hey, here's that kind of satisfying do 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 do, and then back to like the main vocals in the center. It's it's a song where like they're trying to get your attention but at the same time not trying too hard to get it. And I think it helps that Jah-Femi is very comfortable in the microphone. The words come through clearly. There's variations of rhythms within stanzas and lines. The cadences typically make sense. And there are some parts where he is more sort of conversational and is more casual about it, which makes it seem less like he's auditioning for something and more like he's just putting his sort of life on tape. But yeah, there are several distinct sort of main melodies on the brass in the background as well. And it's a piece where it's honestly just seems very kind of like well put together. It's less random than Quantitative Lingo. It seems more like a sort of like centralized concept, but I appreciate that we have that range in there. And it'll be interesting to hear what we have next. Because we got Kinda Love It with Chatty.
Yeah, life's full of funny things, If laughter is the best medicine, then being sad has surely got to be a sin. Yeah. Let's go. You ain't nothing but a dum-dum, sticky little bum-bum, crying and laugh, say you are from the slum. Seen, you are from the wrong town, looking like a cyclone, teaching how to be down. Still nobody knows where you come from. Maybe try making something, cause you're acting all decent. No, you ain't been nowhere recent. You talking about who? Now them boys all smooth, backsliding like them criminals. Speaking about them criminals, they say to be hype, you need vitamins and minerals. I took a trip downtown, wasn't too long before I'm hearing them subliminals. When nobody's around, I act much cooler, no, not confrontational. Here's the situation now, to make it past this, Jah-Femi needs stamina. To bypass the crowd, everywhere I go, somebody's calling me a camera. So when do we end this? It's like going to a club now, making it to the guest list. But I will not bend. You're looking at a whole failure, bet this won't end. Something you should not miss. I still fly high without smoking cannabis. I know it's not a diss. Some still stay bliss from noon to Christmas.
Sorry to interrupt. I feel like that lady's voice there was just a little bit prominent in the mix. Some of the it's a tricky thing because when you've got like a cappella or vocal parts behind a main vocal line, even if they're in a different frequency spectrum, it's just either about kind of putting them further to the side of the panning or just putting a bit of reverb on them on the side vocals and then just having the ones in the center be a little bit less reverb just to help them further stand out.
It comes in waves. My flow gets stronger causing something to misbehave. Big bear in the cave. Fruits and chew are definitely things I love to save. It's the sugar that I crave. Others get angry seeing the statements that I made. But be civil by the matter. I stack all this cause eyes a little smatter. Clowns get stumped when the tide is high. No feeling about feelings when they all pass by. Put up a smile and don't bother cry. Look at the camera, don't forget to say hi. Clowns get stumped when the tide is high. No feeling about feelings when they all pass by. Put up a smile and don't bother cry.
Yo.
Look at the camera, don't forget to say hi.
I woke up looking fly in my grandma's gown. Stepped in the booth like who run this town. Mic smell funny, guess a rapper broke down. Spitting bars so sweet, bees buzz around. Had a chat with life, she said, you mad bold. I winked back twice, said stories untold. They laughed at my joke, said, boy, you deep. And stole my fries while I fell asleep. I danced like a monk when the bass line hits. Broke my sandal, but I still don't quit. Laughing at the haters, they too uptight. I rhyme so wrong, it just sound right.
That was aggressive. That's crazy, dude.
Clowns get stumped when the tide is high. No feeling bad feelings when they all pass by. Put up a smile and don't bother cry. Look at the camera, don't forget to say hi. Clowns get stumped when the tide is high. No feeling bad feelings when they all pass by. Put up a smile and don't bother cry. Look at the camera, don't forget to say hi.
Clowns all around when I'm in your town. They are all so soft.
Clowns get stumped when the tide is high. No feeling bad feelings when they all pass by. Put up a smile and don't bother cry. Look at the camera, don't forget to say hi. Clouds get stumped and the tide is high. No feeling bad feelings when they all pass by. Put up a smile and don't bother cry. Look at the camera, don't forget to say hi. It's the one, baby. It's the one. Why you so mad? Damn.
Okay, kind of love it. So there were some interesting choices in this one. I've already spoken about the leveling of the last kind of like lady vocal and a cappella part at the start, but I do have to commend Jah-Femi Telewa for having that. It was kind of cool to simply have a different sort of form of, you know, like creating a melody or a harmony at the start of a piece there, and to kind of add parts as we go into and develop into the more sort of like intense string sort of bass and drum sections that we have later on. We further segment and add range and structure to this piece through doing so, and as a 3-minute 48 track, I think that that's really important. In terms of what I think this track's about, I think it's more that they're discussing, again, the clowns around them, the people that aren't performing or doing very well. And maybe they're discussing how they kind of love it, the life that they are. I'm not sure how to take the it and capitalize, because when I talk about clowns and it, I kind of think of the clown from it. I think maybe they're either loving the drama or the suspense of the us versus them dynamic, or they're simply loving the journey flying high without the weed. I'm not sure, but either way, there was just a lot of information to take in. I don't know if I necessarily enjoyed the rapping of the different vocalists. It sort of was there, I think, simply as kind of a blunt palate cleanser before you continue the rest of the track. It might have been cool for them to have kind of come back in a little bit at the end to kind of provide context, or for that guy to maybe come in to be like, oh, hey, I was part of the a cappella at the start. It just seemed like it was very much a kind of, hey, I want a different vocal texture here, and that will be what it is. They had great flow. They got kind of aggressive when they went up in their ranges, kept going up and up and up and up. And I imagine from like a climax perspective, that kind of makes sense. You know, it's nice to have that kind of range. But yeah, it's a track where I hear it and I go, it just kind of was okay for me. And that's not to be sort of like to do a disservice to the fact that we tried to have an interesting structure to it. We had like some kind of compelling sort of like grooves, some chord note accents on those kicks and stuff like that. I liked how we had kind of a majorish kind of focus to that cappella at the start, and then we kind of went into the minor as we went into the midway again with those really sort of tense string sections. And I love the force of the kicks there. Sometimes they had their great sort of resonance afterwards, and they kind of slammed like a sub bass or something like that, or a sub drop. Yeah, effectively this song is about Jah-Femi going past the clowns, bypassing the crowd and trying to make a name for themselves. It makes sense. It's all good. Got I Could Get You Back next with James.
What is this? Another monster of production.
I've reviewed this before, haven't I?
Yeah. So what you leaving, girl? Don't forget to give a twirl. To you, my precious pearl. Don't forget we used to gel. All of the madness, girl, you know that we went through hell. Many loved your body, but trust you didn't sell. But maybe you did, cause nobody knows your body well. Flipping curious, so maybe you just let them hit. You should fix her up wide open like a loose stitch. Get you back, I could get you back, yeah. I could get you back, I could get you back this year. I could get you back, I could get you back, yeah. I could get you back, I could get you back this year. I could get you back, I could get you back, yeah. I could get you back, I could get you back this year. I could get you back, I could get you back, yeah. I could get you back, I could get you back this year.
Something went wrong. Retry.
Okay. 303. I Could Get You Back. All right, so what do we think about this one? I Could Get You Back, featuring James. It's a song where I think Jah-Femi, they want to get back with this person. And they talk about wondering whether they've gotten with other people or not. They kind of feel like they know the person better themselves, and they're not sure why things have gone the way they have, that the woman's left. And I think James at the end is sort of talking about how no, she hasn't been sleeping with other people. She's not loose or anything like that. She's just... She's potentially wanting to either sort of re-examine it, or she's just simply just trying to say, no, actually, no, I'm better than you think I am. But they're also basically saying that they don't think things can either, if I'm understanding correctly, that they tried, but it just didn't work out, you know. There are reasons for it that have not been included in the first perspective. So I think just, I suppose, fundamentally, it's nice to have the perspective of the guy and then the woman talking, because often you get one or the other. You don't really get both. And yeah, the story makes sense back and forth. I kind of understand this one better than some of the other ones that are going on. I think that there's some interesting sort of melodies and tails and vibrato going on in James' part there, which is a nice contrast to what Jah-Femi's doing. Is more of the kind of spoken or kind of rapping orient to that, so they contrast as well. There's range with the vocal styles through the piece. I think the use of the saxophones that they have here add a sense of romanticism and jazziness and soul that is necessary in a piece like this. It kind of brings it down to earth a little bit. And it's a nice kind of accompaniment to some of the drum bass ideas that we have as well, with a mixture of 8th and 16ths. And I think like the consistency of the drums as well, with the hi-hat hits and everything like that, is kind of cool. And allowing us to kind of come with a melody with Jah-Femi kind of, you know, with the Monstero music group as well, and bring that forward is kind of neat. You know, you got to kind of get an example or introduction to those things. But there's also like a nice sort of re-synth around the 30-second mark. There's just a nice bit of coloration there. And because Jah-Femi isn't like sort of vocalizing in like a melodic way to a certain extent, it's not within that range. There's room for those other elements to shine alongside him. I think that it's kind of nice to have the more kind of low key percussion with maybe some sort of like almost reggaetonish kind of stuff going on with James' part there as just a contrast to the A and B side, much like we had with with Femalala, but to a more further extent. And there's an actual kind of charming tone to what's going on with the keys as well within that part. I just like the way it sounds. It's very refreshing. So ultimately, instrumentally it's compelling. The contrast of the vocal styles is great. And I just think that it's just nice to again not be taking the layers for granted, and to have again that quality, the quality of the vocal performance, I suppose, like, or at least the diversity between the styles. We got Sweet Crystals with the Monstera Opera music group. This will be interesting.
Sweet is a taste that betrays her kiss. A touch of angel's wings manipulates the air. As she glides past me, a sight I can't dismiss. If all things be fair, I'll catch a glimpse of her stare. Choose me as the principal, girl, cause I'm just into you. It goes way beyond physical, attractively brand new. Chase love is a pain to me. Seen things through the centuries. Romeo and Juliet, poisons that you can't detect. Travels fast through the veins. Love existed with aim. Fast love equals shame. What price can you claim? When love is encrusted with fame, you live a life many can't explain. There's no secrets, but love has no resets.
Love comes and hits like a rock. Push come to shove, handle the shock. Love comes and hits like a rock. Push come to shove, my friend. Love gets me when I'm down. Love leaves me on the ground. Love comes and hits like a rock. Push come to shove, handle the shock.
Return to the hook.
Hits me when I'm down. Love leaves me on the ground.
Talk to the professional, heart on the hills, you know. If I'm invincible, my love too is critical.
So I think Sweet Crystals is about the instant kind of like attraction and love that they felt for someone who sort of did glide by them in the section earlier on. There was some poetry going on there that I think was kind of neat. It's a cool way to start, especially with the strings. With the kind of classical guitar stylings there, I just think they're nice and grounded, and they coalesce neatly with the opera, the choir vocals that we have a bit later on. But the choir also mentioned that love hits like a rock. So it's almost like it kind of hurts a bit, but you appreciate the pain, you enjoy it, you know. It's worth the danger involved with it. So like structurally, we have again the poetry at the start, and Jah-Femi continues with their vocals at the cross the point, kind of further elaborating on their position. You then again have the main vocals and the choir come in for the chorus, and their vocals continue for I think a lot of the remainder of the track. And it works neatly to reinforce some of the chord progressions and bass lines that we have instantiated earlier, again with those classical fingerpicked parts, in a way that makes the most of 2 minutes 25, because it doesn't stay on one thing for too long. Like you're left with kind of continued things to keep your attention. I think like the use of those kind of, again, the drums, the hip hop drums, with the stylings of the 16th note kicks, snares, and kind of clicks there, makes sense because we're trying to sort of tie into the hip hop aesthetic there, but the alternative within the album then kind of insinuates that we're working with different sort of colors outside of the typical palette, and I think that's kind of neat as well. And it's just nice again to have that coloration even be more of the piece than the original kind of like Jah-Femi's vocals. It just sort of insinuates that we're trying to do something a little bit a little more sort of out of the box and experimental. And so it is the introduction to the album as well. So it sets the precedent. So again, hip hop opera, what's going to happen next? So I think it's nice to have that unexpected sort of instant first impression combined with, again, the classical stylings that work well within the major and minors, and have a satisfying kind of like loop that works well regardless of the different instrumental layers. And then finally, it's just nice to have a more sort of like poetic sort of like approach to this before we get into some of the other kind of different ways of communicating these themes later on. We got Shining Star as the last track for today, featuring Avery Kaddish.
Starry summer nights, chilling in the yard, and I feel alright. Let's go. Yeah. And the stars are shining bright tonight, yeah. So we got our feelings right this year. And the stars are shining bright tonight, yeah. So we got our feelings right this year. And the stars are shining bright tonight, yeah. So we got our feelings right this year. And the stars are shining bright tonight, yeah. So we got our feelings right this year. There's no telling what would happen this year, but the feeling's right with this song right here. For those intact to show love and care, chill, relax and vibe to this beat. Simple flow that goes to your feet. It's like food to leave you complete. There's no need for you to compete. Let it be, it'll make you complete. Here's some consolation, please don't lose concentration. You see the task at hand, satisfy demand. Follow the simple plan, so you could be the man. This right here's a jam, it'll bump like nothing can.
Tell me what to do, I'm so lost in you. Crazy with your crew, chilled when it's us two. Boy, I don't know what to do without you. Feel all alone when I'm here without you. I'll never be the same with somebody new. Let's just chill and relax with this view.
Okay, so Shining Stars, track number 7 for today. What do we think this one's about? I think this track is about someone sitting there enjoying the night sky, looking forward to the year ahead, making plans, and Avery kind of saying, hey, I'm happy as long as we're together. I enjoy having the same view. And that's just kind of the approach or the kind of perspective I have on it from listening through it. At 2 minutes, it's a nice little isolated concept. I feel like you need to listen through the entire album to really sort of understand how these stitch together, but it's kind of cool to have added a lot of different flavors today. I think the keys that you have kind of twinkle and kind of sound like the night sky a little bit. It's a nice sort of peaceful tone to it as well. It does kind of sound like a sort of an oral aesthetic for nighttime conversation. I think also the fact that they're so high when the bass is so low insinuates that we're kind of on the ground looking up there, and there's a nice sort of like warmth to the bass alongside the drums there that allows for Jah-Femi and Avery to do whatever they want in a way that's very sort of like satisfying. The fact that Avery's vocals are very sort of like reverb oriented at the start kind of gives it a kind of a ghostly wispy feel. I'm kind of glad that it was less reverb later on, because it kind of seemed like they're in the same room with each other. Almost at the start, like this was a memory that Jah-Femi was having, and then Avery was with them the entire time. I think the major leaning, the extensions add a sense of emotional complexity to it because of the just not sort of like cheesy major minor leaning, but then also the major leaning insinuates that we do have positivity for the future. There's a lack of aggression across the takes. It's a fairly relaxed sort of like approach to things in general vocally, expression-wise, and it's just a very soothing piece. So I can understand how it ties together. And I think that the different layers you have behind the vocals with the guitar takes are solid as well. It's just a really pleasant piece. And you got sub layers and main layers to sort of choose to focus on. Or you just kind of take it all at once. But honestly, I think this is probably one of my favorites off the album. I'm going to talk about it more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of these tracks from an act named Jah-Femi Telewa. There's Jah-Femi's alternative hip-hop. This has been the album of hip-hop alternative, the First Chronicle, thus it began. The 7 tracks, Lookest, Quantitative, Lingo, Boom It's Doom, Kinda Love It, I Could Get You Back, Sweet Crystals, and then Shining Stars. Now, I'm not going to talk about these tracks individually in this section, as I've given them their own sort of little mini conclusion, but this part is basically me sort of highlighting a few of my favorite parts about this album, as well as any sort of applicable constructive critique. And then finally, my sort of general thoughts is from a general listening perspective. First of all, what do we think this track, or this album, should I say, is about? I think this album is Jah-Femi trying to go in another direction with hip-hop, and they're trying to sort of stake their own claim into it. There are collaborations working with other musicians. There is an opera hip-hop track, which is not something I've really heard before. I think it's nice to have a radio edit in there to sort of showcase that we're interested in having our music go on the radio in a day and age where streaming is so prolific. I think there is a charm to it. And I think it's just a kind of an awareness of working with other musicians and having them kind of work together on a topic, and their kind of connection, and the making of it was just kind of intimate. I do like parts of it, I Could Get You Back, where we have the different vocal takes on the woman's perspective and Jah-Femi's as well. But it's almost like a lot of it is about relationships or finding ourselves as musicians, or simply looking at the year ahead in the future and trying to make sense of it. And also just kind of loving the journey that we have as a human being, working our way around all the clowns and trying to find a name for ourselves. In terms of things that I thought worked well within this album, I thought that in general, for the most part, Jah-Femi's vocals sounded solid. We're clearly very comfortable on the microphone. We can rap and we can talk, and sort of we can recite the poetry that we have, such as at the beginning with Sweet Crystals. We can also encourage or collaborate with other rappers like Femolala, if I'm not mistaken. And we also have Jaime and Avery and other sort of musicians that come in there and add their piece to it, and their own perspectives and different sort of vocal textures and timbres. And I just feel like we came in and out, we didn't overstay our welcome. There were bits of vocals on either side that kind of would be more sort of sounds, or kind of go around for points of attention, but also just to switch things up with the focal point, the listener, from a production and get our arrangement perspective. And typically we expressed ourselves in a way which made sense with the music, the story that we were telling. I think there were a variety of different instruments within this album as well. I typically enjoyed the sound of the drums with the various sort of snare, kick, and cymbal patterns, whether we were rolling with 8ths or 16ths, or we had a more minimalist approach, mainly focusing on the drums themselves, or whether we had no drums at all because we just was going to allow ourselves the space in the piece. I think it was cool to also have the basses, where they were the 808s or electric basses in songs where, if they're more sort of analog kind of elements like guitar or maybe like piano, you had the electric bass, or you had the 808 still kind of fitting in there with the more synthetic elements. And it was nice to have some kind of peppy sort of synth accompaniments or sort of sequences. The strings were very prominent in this album too, and I thought they added a nice sort of burn and tone to it, a bit of drama in certain parts as well, whilst also sort of adding a sense of romanticism the same way. And we had kind of brass, trumpets or saxophones in certain parts that kind of highlighted certain melodies really neatly. And it was just nice to have each instrument kind of work with the strengths of itself, rather than trying to push it in a direction it might not necessarily do as well with. And again, the guitars, whether they were picked or sort of strummed or fingerstyled, either way, however we did them, they typically reflected the main sort of key signatures or arpeggios really neatly. And ultimately, we stacked these things together, and they, even with the twinkly sort of keys and shining stars, they just sounded really pretty. We didn't overcomplicate these ideas. We had mostly diatonics, occasional chromatics, or melodic harmonic minors, but ultimately it was more about the story being told. That was the focal point. I should note with the vocals as well, I did think that the opera idea again with the vocal style was kind of cool as well, just having different vocal textures and timbres as well. Finally, I think in general it was a studio production. I feel like things were well leveled and mixed. There weren't any sort of weird resonant frequencies at any point. The music surrounded you in the headphones, things went backwards and forwards with panning inside of things. There were some issues with leveling actually in some bits I should mention. There was one track, I think it was kind of Loved If I'm Not Mistaken, where we did have a vocal take just get a little bit too sort of prominent. But either way, like very rarely, typically things sort of niche themselves well, and there was no sort of infighting. Jah-Femi was very present in the mix, and most of the other vocalists were well, even to an extent where sometimes it just sounded a little bit too intense maybe for the vibe of the track, but that's still like a subjective thing. So ultimately, I think it was the vocals and the way they presented them in different ways, as well as the typical instrumental sort of makeups and the way they interacted and used their strengths, and then the studio production. Overall, in terms of any applicable constructive critique, I just think I can't really say I'm not sure how the album was meant to flow, as I think this might have been what was so-called a variety box album, where it was like different chapters and different sort of parts in different ways. I typically like when an album flows from one point to another as like a cohesive kind of concept, but I think that, to be fair, I was reviewing these tracks in a different order than the chronological point of the album, and I also didn't listen through all the tracks, which is totally fine. It's just I would say that I would say you'd potentially have a different experience if you would listen to it in order. Either way, though, I think it's fine. And just, yeah, it was just what I mentioned about certain leveling of parts being a bit too prominent, especially where vocals were involved with other sort of like main vocals. It just kind of clouds things a little bit. I feel like there was enough sort of like compositional diversity as we went through the pieces as well, so that was good. We had some like alternate lead layers as well and sub leads, which was cool, so that's always a plus. From a general listening perspective, I'm not sure if I liked the album, and that sounds incredibly brutal, but I want to say it's not because I think it was done poorly or because I dislike Jah-Femi Telewa or their music. It's more that I just didn't relate to it. I don't think I appreciated it. I don't think this album was made for me. I think that it was made for Jah-Femi Telewa to discuss what they wanted to discuss with people. And I think that when you make an album and it's about what you're going through, like the subject matter is relatable to a lot of people probably, but I also don't know if I can relate to a lot of the subject matter. I don't know if as a person I can relate to what Jah-Femi Telewa is saying about themselves. So I have to take their word for it, and I do. Beyond taking their word for it though, just as a listening perspective, while I can appreciate the musicality of it, and I think a lot of stuff was done well here, I just don't know if I would listen to it again because I just don't think it was made for me. I think there will be an audience for it though, people who enjoy Jah-Femi's music and or resonate with the stories that are being told. I know that's a tricky thing to say as a reviewer that I didn't like it. It's just simply from a subjective, personal perspective, which is why I've started including these, because I think that can be a thing that's worth discussing is, if we make good music, why, like what makes great music? And I think a lot of, unfortunately, what makes music great is how subjective it is. But ultimately, I wish Jah-Femi Telewa and everyone else involved with this album all the best in future. And again, I do think that it's really good music. It's just maybe not my thing. I thank you for watching my review of this album from Jah-Femi's alternative hip-hop alternative, The First Chronicle, Thus It Began. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via their various social medias and their website and Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.